Okay, so one of the most fascinating things about languages are exactly how they came about, what happened, how they developed, and we're going to be talking about the Pashto language today because it's definitely one of the most fascinating languages. Now, I don't know how to speak Pashto. My nani does though. She does a really good job of it. Now, the Pashto language is spoken by over 40 million people worldwide. It's one of the official languages of Afghanistan and a key part of the Pashtun cultural identity. And a large number of people in Pakistan as well speak the language. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Hi, my name is Misha and welcome to Tarihi Tales. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you want to help support this channel, you can do so by going to my Patreon or by becoming a paid member of this channel. Thank you. Now, Pashto's origins are kind of a bit debated among scholars because while some argue that it originated from ancient Semitic roots, others argue that it's part of the Iranian language family, which also includes Sanskrit. But the lack of documented evidence from the infancy of the language kind of makes it very difficult to pinpoint the exact date of birth of the language. However, recent research kind of favors the theory that it originated from the Iranian language family, thus making it like a cousin to languages like Hindi. Now let's jump ahead to the 8th century CE because it's around this time that we start seeing some of the earliest literature in the Pashto language emerge. Now back then, a very common practice in a lot of regions around the world was the passing down of stories and poems through oral narration. It was a beautiful tradition where storytellers kind of worked really hard and memorized these great epic poems and then carried it forward to the next generation. But then we also see some written works start to emerge in Pashto by people such as Amir Karor Suri. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. It could be Amir, but I don't know. Amir Karor Suri. Now, interestingly, because history is not black and white and there's always going to be like debate about whether a primary source is legit or not, some scholars do argue that the works of Amir Karor Suri are actually not real, and thus there's a bit of a debate about that as well. But those works do provide a really nice glimpse into the potential development of written text in Pashto language during this period. And then we have to fast forward to the 16th and the 18th centuries because that is where the golden age of Pashto kind of lies. Now, this was a time period of emerging literature, stories, and poems, and it's kind of referred to as by some experts as the Pashto Renaissance because there was a huge surge in literary output and the number of speakers also increased during this time. By some estimates, during that time, Pashto speakers made up more than 45 to 60% of the entire population of Afghanistan, what is now present-day Afghanistan. Figures like Khushal Khan Khattak started to emerge during these times. Now, he's a literary giant when it comes to Pashto, and he has written a lot of poems and stories ranging from themes all the way from love to war to the complexities of politics and religion. So it's very, very immersive. His most remarkable work, which has both prose and verse, spans over 45,000 poems and more than 200 books. And then came the 20th century. The 20th century opened up new doors for the Pashto language because now we had new mediums for the spread of language like radio and television. And this era also kind of witnessed new genres emerging in Pashto literature like plays and novels. Another crucial thing that started to happen around this time was the influx of translators. Now there were a lot of people that were translating various works from other languages into the Pashto language, thus enriching its heritage even more. And like all languages, Pashto was no different, and it was highly affected by the politics and the political changes going on throughout all these times. I'll make a separate video about what was going on during the British Raj with the Pashto language because that's quite interesting. But in more recent times, when the Afghanistan war broke out, that pushed the Pashto language into an international limelight and interest in the language was taken all around the world. This language is spoken by more than 18% of the population in Pakistan as well as smaller communities in Iran, Tajikistan, and even the United Kingdom. And Pashto is one of those unique languages where even though there are geographical distances, and in most languages, where there are such heavy geographical distances, the languages in the northern parts and the southern parts, or the parts furthest to each other, they start having some different words or lexicons. But in the case of Pashto, we see that the southwestern and the northwestern dialects actually match 80% of the lexicons, making it a very united language from top to bottom. This was a very, very short history of the Pashto language. We didn't go into details about the politics here, but I do plan on making separate videos about that because I thought they deserved a bit more limelight and detail. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.